my fantasy football season and your fantasy football season. He's Jeff Pasquino from thefootballguys.com, helping you set your Week 13 fantasy football lineups. Jeff, welcome back. How was your Thanksgiving, pal?
Good, Mike. How was yours?
Very good. Back in the saddle. We know this month is always kind of up and down with me working, actually. So it's good to have you on and get a chance to get a couple things. So let's start with tonight. Green Bay, Detroit. This Detroit team's played a lot better the last couple of weeks. Green Bay has not played very well. But should we expect some fantasy stars tonight on Thursday Night Football?
I think that you're pretty much your headliners this week. Both quarterbacks are in play. You got Matthew Stafford, had a great week last week. Aaron Rodgers, who's kind of he's been regressing a little bit lately, but I think he could get good well this week. And also Calvin Johnson, Randall Cobb. And the last player I'd mention would be Eddie Lacy. I think he's probably a good play tonight.
All right, let's go with some quarterbacks here, obviously, to get people started. A lot of people this time of the year, too. Injuries, looking at the waiver wire. Man, I'll tell you, Jeff, do you remember waiver wire has been so important, specifically at, like, running back position?
It ebbs and flows seems to be that way every year. And this year, a lot of people this time of year, they get a little off the fantasy schneid. Either they're missing their playoffs, they might get bumped out. That's one real plus for those who play daily fantasy sites. I mean, you're always back in play every week.
Right, and obviously this time of the year, if you're stuck with a guy and he's been your player all year long, you got to go with him. But let's look at a couple guys that can maybe help some people out. Let's start with Carson Palmer. Didn't have a great week last week, but he's been really good for the most of the year. Do you like Carson Palmer if you're going into the playoffs?
I do. I think that St. Louis is kind of an iffy matchup, but every week it seems that Carson's more than happy to throw it 35+ times. I do like that they've got a rookie running back that seems to be the new starter there in David Johnson, but he's a good receiver too. So Carson Palmer is a solid QB1 the rest of the way.
What do you think of people that keep saying, "Man, this Hasselbeck keeps winning. Should he be a fantasy quarterback for the playoffs?"
I think he's very matchup dependent. Like this week, we like him against Pittsburgh, but every week he doesn't have a big arm. He's kind of getting up there. He doesn't have a ground game to rely on. That's really 3 strikes against him. Unless it's a great matchup, I would go against him.
A couple running backs. You mentioned David Johnson. Should people be picking him up and playing him right away?
I think so. I think he's probably a lock for 15 to 20 touches, which is about all you could ask for at this time of year.
What about Washington? It looked like Jones, then last week Morris kind of took the carries there. So what Washington back should you use on Monday night against Dallas?
Well, against Dallas, I'm not sure I would use any back against them. But if you had to pick one, I would probably go with Alfred Morris, who seems to be riding the hot hand. In a PPR league, I'm leaning a little towards Jones, but Morris looks like the guy.
Plenty of questions for Jeff. We'll try to fit a couple in. One wants to know about C.J. Anderson. He was a first-round pick for many. Should he be back for the playoffs?
I think he should. He looked great last Sunday in bad weather, which you're going to see a lot of for Denver. And I think that both running backs are going to be in play. Both him and Hillman could see 10-plus touches this week.
Devante Parker, high draft pick. People liked him. Finally had some stats last week. He's going to start this week in Miami. Are you playing him?
At the wide receiver 3, I throw him out there, but I have a little bit of misgiving, a lot, about Miami, because I don't know what they're doing. I mean, we're trying to guess what they're doing. I'm not even sure in their own locker room they know.
Jeff, how about Dontrell Inman out in San Diego? Got a lot of questions about him. Everybody's scooping the waiver wire this week.
Yeah, I do like Inman as a wide receiver 4, so he's kind of a flex guy. I think he's a solid option this week, because San Diego can't run the ball. But this week is very tough. It's Denver. I'm sorry. Regardless, yes, it is Denver. So it's a rough week this week.
What about Scott Chandler, who's going to fill in for Gronkowski? Should you replace a guy like, Delaney Walker, who's had a good year, or Richard Rodgers in Green Bay, who's had a nice year? You taking Chandler over guys like that?
Well, I did a lot of analysis on tight ends in the waiver wire this week. I write a column called Money Talks for football guys. For free agent bidding, and I listed about 15 different tight ends that are out there on the waiver wire that are all getting 4 or 5 catches a week. I like Chandler this week, especially if Amendola is banged up. But once Amendola is back, I think his targets go way down. I think you guys in New England run the ball a lot against the Eagles this week because Philadelphia has been struggling to stop the run.
All right, Jeff Pasquino, footballguys.com. That's all the time we have. A lot of good questions this week, everybody. Good luck in your fantasy playoffs out there. Make sure your rosters are set for tonight. Jeff, good luck to you, pal.
Good luck to you, and enjoy the games.
Take care. There he goes, Jeff Pasquino from footballguys.com.